Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Wendy and with me today is
Nomalanga.
So today we're talking all things identity. Is identity fluid? Well, let's find out. For starters, what does identity mean to you?
To me, identity, I describe identity as who I am as a person, like my personality, my beliefs, my appearance into society, and all of that. How about yourself?
I think for me, it's the highest self-expression one can live in, living completely and also being able to live unapologetically.
So, what do you wish you were taught about identity?
I basically grew up in a time where society was just obsessed with identity, from what you're about, where you come from. It still is, but I think back then things were a lot worse for some people who are not yet comfortable in discussing issues surrounding their identity. I've also come to learn that identity can be fluid, just like sexuality, and also to be less judgmental of people that are not yet comfortable with discussing their identity or being open about it, because those things can be actually be linked to whether a person feels safe or not, and also connected to their traumas. So I got to see this where I was formally employed as an educator, where most of my students were not comfortable in discussing matters surrounding their identity. So when, the 24th of September, that's when Heritage Days is, right, would come around, they would when we would ask them okay, so what kind of ethnic groups do we have in class? Can the Zulu people go that side, the Sothos and so forth? And some of them would rush to filter into other ethnic groups, but you really know that actually that's not what you're about, but you don't even want to come out that way, like you're pushing people to, or you're pushing children rather. So I just thought it would be a very good example for me to set, to show visibility. So, every time we'd receive new students, and as we're trying to get to know each other, so I'd introduce myself and say what I'm about. And, there were students who were not forthcoming. So one would say, oh, ma'am, my name is so-and-so, I'm from KZN, but the accent is not really right.
KZN Limpopo.
So I would try, they would say something like, oh, my name is so-and-so, I'm from KZN, but the accent is not adding up, and this sort of took me back where, when I was growing up, and how I was taught to speak Zulu and other South African languages so that I could fit in. I didn't see a problem with that. I thought it was just cool to be multilingual. But now that I'm older, I don't even know my native language. But also in my place of employment, I just thought that it would be good for me to raise visibility. And if they could see someone in authority that was excelling and thriving and being like an immigrant, then they would. And after some time, I did see changes where, my students started embracing their different cultures. And I remember on, Heritage Day, we actually had a group and it was all fun. Then, I actually thought to myself, indeed, we really have to be, less judgmental, because most of these things that, parents teach their children, it's just out of survival, it's out of, safety and traumas that they've experienced in the past, because no parent wants their child to ever experience any form of discrimination when they're at school or at a place of work and whatever the case may be. So what I'm trying to say is that, the biggest lesson that I've learned about identity is that, to be less judgmental, and also, in issues surrounding identity, to provide safe spaces where people feel like, they can talk openly and also grow. Yeah. So what do you wish you were taught about identity?
I think to accept myself for who I am and just be with myself. I feel like I wish people teach people that, even if you don't talk about maybe somebody coming from a different country, maybe sexuality wise, I wish people could teach people how to accept themselves and not try and act cool and at the end you lose your own self-identity because now you're trying to act like other people.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're trying to act like cool kids at school, or you're trying to be cool. You end up losing focus.
Exactly. Like, I totally agree with that. So it's less of peer pressure and trying to act cool, but like also if it comes from a place of where you feel like it's not safe for you to do that, then I think people should be patient with you. You know, sometimes I don't understand it. I think that's why I linked it to sexuality. You see what's going on. Why do you need to ask? You heard my accent. Why do you need to ask? I don't get that.
What if somebody's curious?
Yes. So just like sexuality, how a person identifies as, it's none of your business. It should be the same as identity. So sometimes I like, just to go back to what you're saying, Woodsy, you're just curious. I mean, this country has a lot of immigrants. We sort of like know the accents right now.
Yeah.
So like, even if you don't guess the correct country, you will miss it onto like the next best one. And also just to add, I think one should be concerned around matters surrounding identity. If it's a relationship and the end goal is marriage, I can't be with someone that has an identity crisis. I remember I was once in a relationship with someone who were from the same country, and then they set me down. They're like, oh babes, I know how you're so comfortable in speaking about where you're from, but my friends don't really know that I am from there. I identify as this ethnic local group, and I would appreciate you if you kept your mouth shut. He didn't put it like that, but like, you know, it was more gentle. And I was like, right, it's not my place to bring up your identity, but when it comes to me, I won't misrepresent myself because of you. And also, I want to have children that are very confident, that are strong-willed. So if I do, you know, end up getting married to someone from a different country, I want my children to be proud of the country that they're coming from, despite whatever is happening in their country. You know, the same thing that would happen locally. I would take pride in my husband's culture. It's a different thing when the parents are not confident, and then now children are also confused and they go out to the world and they're also confused. No, we're trying to build powerhouses.
But do you think they'll be confused though?
I think so, because remember, families that are from outside the country travel in December. Where exactly are you going? Where are you going? So you come back and you can't really talk about like where you were for the holidays. You know, because I remember, like, so we would go to two countries, but the other one was worse than the other one. So we'd name the other country, like, that's where we spent our holidays. Yes, for the whole month. That's where we were.
Actually, this is speaking about that yesterday, right? I met this guy. I'm always meeting people, but anyways, guys. Like, so this guy, so we're talking, man. Right, me and this guy, we're just having like a general conversation. So, guys, guys. So this guy, we just having a general. So I'm like, oh, so you are
So you were at church.
I was at church yesterday, right? So I'm asking, so you're from wherever? He's like, no, my dad is, because his accent is like pure Zulu. So now I thought he was just imitating an accent now, because now I'm not too sure. But I was like, guys, I feel like the other thing we just like judging people.
Exactly.
And when he said no, Mama Zulu from blah 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 blah, I'm like, oh, okay. Then I'm judging you, and now I'm thinking you're faking it, and he wasn't. Like,
and that's the thing. Sometimes it is true. You know, you could be half and half of something. But sometimes you're full on, but we still say we're half and half. Yeah, for whatever reason, we're not here to judge.
We just here to have fun. Guys, I feel like we take this identity thing very
too serious.
Like, if someone was to approach me, like, what do you identify as? I would say female. I wouldn't think that you're asking about me, my nationality or sexuality or anything. I'm just say I'm female.
Yeah.
And I'm just chill. I like laughing. Okay, as a person, identify as a person.
For me, that question used to confuse me a lot, because I'd meet people, they're like, oh my goodness, where are you from? And then, because the whole entire time I would be speaking Zulu, right? They'll be like, oh, where are you from? You know? And I'm like, no, I'm from Joburg. They're like, no, I mean home. And I'm like, no, I've been in Joburg all my life. And then it becomes a thing. You go, oh, I heard your Zulu accent. Then I'll say, no, I'm not Zulu. Then they were like, no, you're Swati. So it was a guessing game.
Yeah.
Like a guessing game.
I also do that a lot.
Oh, are you Swati? No. Are you Xhosa? Are you?
With this other person, they were like, oh, so what language do you speak? I was like, and they're like, really? You sound so Zulu. I'm like, what am I supposed to
Yeah, I
sound
listen
like?
to Maskandi a lot.
Who listens to Maskandi?
You do.
Guys, enjoy them being my
Yalla, back together.
I'm a 16-seater. I'm a 16-seater passenger princess.
Ooh.
Give me that I'm joining next time. So
yeah. So like it was like a guessing game. So like going forward, because that kind of question irritated me a lot, and then would go in like into like what so saying that you're from Zim, what ethnic group do you belong to? And they're like, are you Shona? I'm like, no. Are you Ndebele? I'm like, no. And then I'll be like, no, I'm Kalang. And they'll be like, what is that? And then I'll go, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And then you have to go into, or not, I don't really know Kalanga. I've been in Johannesburg all my life. So now when the person asks me that question, I just get straight to the point. I'm like, I'm from Zim. They're like, oh, you don't even look that. But that's a topic for another day.
How are you supposed to look like?
I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us one day. They will tell us. Yeah, they will tell us. Maybe we're missing something. But I feel like everyone from the SADC region looks similar. Almost everybody. But anyway. And sometimes I've also seen that, people are also going to jump into a relationship with you. Because you're from a different country. They'll be like, oh, I've never been with someone from Zim.
I've never experienced it.
Yeah, no. It's the worst thing. I don't even have an answer for that.
But I think other people are curious. Like as I was saying, there was a time I went to a bar somewhere, and I was sitting there with my friend, and this guy is like, he's an educated guy, by the way. You can tell somebody's educated. He's very educated. He's like a nurse and stuff like that. So
He's a what?
He's a nurse.
Oh, nice.
So he's like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm Swahili. He's like, you from Kenya? I'm like, yeah. So he starts mentioning so many things about Kenya because I was lying and I was making a joke out of it. Now I'm just sitting there and I'm like, agreeing. Yeah, but it's fun. I think I learned one or two.
I once told someone I was Portuguese and they believed it.
Really?
Yeah. It was for fun. It wasn't a thing.
From Mozambique.
Yes. And then I was like, actually, so yeah, that's where the inspiration came from. So I said, as he was like, no, I don't understand your skin tone. Also, I don't know what that meant. But like, I said, I'm Portuguese. And then he was like, oh, you're from Mozambique? I'm like, yeah, my dad is black and my mom's from Cuba. And it was a whole thing. And all I'm saying is that you can wake up the next day and be whoever you want to be, because same as sexuality, we do not choose the kind of countries we are born into. We do not choose the kind of parents we are born into as well. It's the same thing. I think that's the way we should be looking at it.
What challenges have you faced concerning identity while living in South Africa?
I don't think I faced any challenges, at least directly. I've never been a victim of any xenophobic behavior because I think somehow I fit the local, I'd like to think I fit the local profile. But this doesn't take away, experiences that other people have also had. And someone once said to me, oh, it's because, you're pretty. So like pretty privilege is actually a thing. And I'd like to say, yes, actually, it has, played its role. I'd like to, it has played its role. And I still also get like an occasional, oh, you don't look like you're from there. Like I said, it's a topic for another day. But like I said, this doesn't take away from other experiences that other people have had in the country or in this country. But one thing that I would like to speak on is that one thing about foreign nationals and immigrants, they dominate in whatever sector that they're in, whether it's academics, whether it's a place of employment, whether they take on jobs that are less paying, whether they start businesses. this can actually be a problem for some people that, have been, struggling with employment. And these are a few triggers of, xenophobic attacks. So yeah, I think if we are in a system where we can coexist together with acceptance, then, challenges such as that wouldn't be like an actual thing. Because sometimes when you see more of something, I think it should be, called to coexist.
Yeah, going back to, like most of us, right? Like what is it? In Southern Africa, right? Our tribes are literally almost the same.
They are.
Because apparently the Nguni tribe, you see, like Zulus, your Swatis, your Ndebeles, and your Xhosas, they're all Ngunis, right? Apparently also in Malawi, they also have like Nguni tribes.
Yes, I think I saw something.
And I think we're just all the same people, just then because of which what do you call it? People that colonized us. I think that's the only difference. But we're all the same people. We can all do it together as
we
one.
All in this together. Yeah. But anyway, I think the most, biggest solution to this is that most or locals would feel like, oh, people should be accounted for in terms, it should be known that you're in this country. You know what I mean?
So going back to that, people usually struggle with like what do you call my paper?
Documents.
Oh,
you say documents.
So
we're going back to
So you're going back to the fact that people usually struggle with documentation, like applying for visas and things like that.
Yes. So because of that, you don't have papers, you're in a distant land or foreign country, and you're trying to fit in. And it's out of survival. So the next thing you're going to do, of course, you're going to fake an accent.
Yeah.
Because you want to fit in your head, because you've been like on survival mode. I don't think these people, I don't know, but I just thought about something right now. How can I say I'm Zulu, yet I do not sound Zulu? Do you understand? There's deeper level of issues.
Within.
You're in this survival mode which things are so bad, where now you can't hear yourself, but your accent is not right. And you confidently say, I am Sotho. In a African accent. I don't know if I'm putting it like in that, because I don't want to also, perpetuate hatred or whatever. But like there's deeper issues that have to be looked at, whether it's psychologically or where a person is mentally. Because it can be a thing where you have to look at it. It's okay, fine. Yes, you have to have the proper documents to be in the country and be accounted for. You understand? But also you need to survive these kind of things, because things are just so bad at home. You need to send money. So that's why they go into the less paying jobs.
Yeah.
And they get employed by who? But anyway, we're not here to fight. Like I said, I haven't really experienced any challenges concerning identity while living in South Africa, but I would not say the same thing when I do, travel back home to see my family, is that I don't really connect with the people. Like the next best thing for me to learn, since I know Zulu, would be Ndebele, but my accent is just off. And then, my native tongue, I can't even form, like I've started learning now, but I can't form a proper sentence, but like I will hear everything that you're saying. But I think for me, the challenge is when I go back home, because I really I want to be with the people, but I really can't be with the people. That's what I mean.
Does your understanding of your own identity help you connect and empathize with others?
I think a win for me is representation, because it's important. When you see more of something, the question shouldn't be whether you accept or not, but begin to understand why people act the way that they do, or how people handle themselves. And then something to help me connect better with people would be the sense of pride in your nation, in your people, whether it's through the fact that they are thriving in diaspora or like any of their respective places. And, your people are basically coming through for support and empowerment.
I actually like this one TikTok content creator. I don't remember her TikTok name, but her name is Amanda. Like, she's from Zim, but she lives in what is it? Not in the UK, man.
Is she in Canada?
Yeah, she lives in Canada.
You
know her? Yeah. Oh my god, I like her. And her accent, her Ndebele accent is so bad, guys. But she sounds so nice. I like listening to her. I think seeing more of people like that. But in this American, like overseas countries, there are a lot of people from outside, like even your Nigerian people with accents. They're just not here in Africa. I feel like here in Africa, we kind of judge each other a lot. This is why people fake accents. Because I remember I used to study with this one guy, right? His name was Ike. I think he was like half Nigerian, half South African, because he could speak like Zulu and he didn't want us to call him. He was like, his name is Ike. Yeah, okay. Like here in South Africa, it's survival of the fittest. It's different, but because Amanda's in another country, like overseas, like in Canada, but she uses this as a win, like basically.
Exactly, and even with you saying survival of the fittest, bro, that's survival mode. That's not a place where you feel safe to be yourself. So you have to do everything to fit in. But like, if your friends are more accommodating and they accept you for who you are and they understand, then all of this will not happen, or it wouldn't be happening. Would you say identity is fluid, like sexuality? Does it change and evolve over time?
I think so. Really, because if you stay in a place too long, you start behaving like those people from that certain place. Like, you just imagine our kids. Do you think they will have any accent?
No.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
You see?
None whatsoever.
And
for me,
and for you?
I agree. Hey, I feel like, as people, we're forever changing and evolving. So you can go from being on survival mode to feeling safe, where you finally accept yourself. I think it's just, a matter of acceptance. Like I said, how people identify as is none of our business. And I think it should be the same for identity as well. But if you really care and you are like, you really empathize with the next person, then it should come with patience. They will talk about it when they're ready. When I was in high school, right? And would talk about other people that, are like, would link it like sexuality. So if we knew that we were from Zim or from Malawi, but like, because like the surnames will catch you on sometimes, not all the time. Then you'll hear people saying, so and so is in the closet. I'm telling you. Like, no, they're still in the closet. But I went to a very progressive school. It wasn't a thing where, but if anything, I remember there were girls from my class where they would actually like name places from Zim. They would be like, no, ngisayo Katipas, ngecholocho, chicken pass. And these were locals, so it was more of acceptance and growth together. It was never, but I know that, there are people that are not as fortunate as me, basically have to be in the closet or be in survival mode for their own safety. So what would be the most uncomfortable thing you are reluctant to share about your identity?
I don't think I have any, guys. I'm just nice. I'm just me. Even if my friends come to my house, I'm just me, guys. I don't care. Like, I don't think I do have the most uncomfortable thing I wouldn't share. Except maybe if I was to meet somebody who's xenophobic or something, maybe I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, you read the room.
Yeah.
Another survival skill that we've learned, read the room. Is it safe for you to say what you're about? It was another thing. Like I said, I've never been in situations where people speak awfully about foreign nationals. I've never. So like, I imagine if I was ever in a situation like that, I'd be like, too bad, I'm one. Then I'm hoping that will change their perspective.
And then they kill you.
You see now. But yeah, no, we can't, yeah.
Okay. What is the least comfortable thing you share about your identity?
I don't have anything at the moment, but I previously struggled with, I don't know, putting it mildly, I would say survivor's guilt. The fact that I made it out while some of my family and friends couldn't or didn't. That, I have been privileged to have the opportunity that I have from education, employment, and so forth. And it's not more of like their local context, but it's when I go home. There are people that I grew up with that showed so much talent, so much skills, but because of the country's economic state or political state, they couldn't really do much. So I think moving forward, I would really like to start projects that empower them. So that we can all thrive in our respective places and no one should ever feel like, anyone is left behind. Because every time I'd go home, I would feel the need to, speak less about myself because it felt like I was speaking from a place of privilege. But my friends wanted to find out everything about me, and it wasn't all, because there are people that are doing very well for themselves in the country, or my home country. It's not everyone, but it's those little ones that, or like that. It's a few people that when you look back and you're just like, oh, you had so much potential. If you're in a different country, you could have been a doctor by now, or you could have been that, you could have been that. So yeah, any way that I can help, I think I will. Yeah. Any takeaway points for you?
I feel like as people, we should just learn how to love ourselves and be proud of ourselves and just be us. I feel like people are going to love you. If people are genuine, they're going to love you for who you are. It doesn't really matter where you're from, what you identify as. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's all
Yourself?
personal. Yeah, I think, I agree with you. I think the biggest takeaway for me would be speak when you're ready. And the fact that you don't openly feel okay to talk about your identity says a lot about the people in your life, right? If you don't feel comfortable to discuss matters around identity,
You're in the wrong crowd.
you're in the wrong crowd or the wrong area as well.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be living there because, there are places that experience xenophobic attacks while others don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And the support has been overwhelming for my friends and family. So yeah, thank you guys.